Hello everybody. This video is intended to discuss another context in which lyric evidence can be used. We just saw the Afroman case play out, I guess it was last week now, and I wanted to walk through a use of lyrics in a criminal case. I think that I chose this case because I think it's one of the more egregious misuses of lyrics in that there's kind of a two-layer misuse. But let's just get right into it. So this is going to be the state of Georgia versus Darren Mills. Darren Mills has already won his motion for new trial, so he'll be getting a new trial. The reason has nothing to do with the lyrics, but nonetheless, the lyric evidence is, I think, particularly silly. I'll give you the facts first. On September 17, 2015, these are the state's allegations. Mills acted as an armed lookout while another member of the Haiti gang shot Hassan Pope 8 times, stole his belongings, and left him for dead outside of his apartment at 464 Cooper Street in Fulton County. Mills and other members of the Haiti gang then dumped and set fire to the car Pope had been using at 785 Magnolia Way, that is also in Fulton County. One more detail. At trial, Kevin Harley testified that he heard gunshots outside his apartment at 464 Cooper Street that night. So that's the gist of what happened. I'm not going to get into all of the evidence because debunking all of it would take a considerable amount of time. So we are going to get right to the lyric evidence that I mentioned earlier, with one little twist. So co-defendant White, this is Quatez White, aka Spaz, who is currently represented by Brian Steele. Co-defendant White also made a number of gang-related posts, as well as some posts, and this is in bold, specifically referencing these crimes. That's referring to the shooting of Hassan Pope on September 17th, 2015. So remember, these are either gang references or specifically referencing these crimes. Specifically referencing. So we have several photographs of some combination of White, Mills, and or Dominic Carter making Haiti gang if gang hand signs. Okay, fine. Now, this is not a reference to a gang, so we have to assume that this is, per the state, specifically referencing these crimes, right? Co-defendant White's, Spaz's posts stating that we're going to sell dope to get it, drug money. It can buy what you want. So, according to the state, that is a specific reference to the crime, which first of all doesn't make sense because, not really alleged to. There's a shooting, not a robbery so much, but in any event, let's see.
Yeah, turn down for what? Drug money, it can buy you what you want. Drug money, it's gonna buy you what you want. Drug money, just gonna buy you what you want. Drug money.
So, there are two problems here. One is the use of lyrics generally. We have Spaz just quoting a song. Also, that song features Future, who is an Atlanta-based rapper. It says free bands at the start of the song. So not only are these lyrics, these are specifically Atlanta-linked lyrics, but the state doesn't even realize or chooses to ignore that they're lyrics and presents them as specific references to a crime. And I don't know, to be clear, what the first half is, but also they weren't charged with selling drugs. That's not one of the crimes. So it can't also it fails for that additional reason. It doesn't specifically reference attempted murder. But anyway, the other examples are, I think, even more egregious. Co-defendant White, again, this is Spaz, posts made 9 days after the attempted murder of Pope, stating that crime rate going crazy because my YN's day thirsty. Switch over here. This is another Future song.
Win jerseys, I could love win jersey. Crime rate's going crazy, cause my young niggas so thirsty. Couple commas made a purchase. Caught the way.
It is a direct quote of a Future song. And this one is, I think, probably one of the most egregious because co-defendant White's post made 9 days after the attempted murder. So roughly, I don't know how they're counting days, but let's say September 26, 2015 is the day he made that post. Let me switch back to the PDF, actually. That might be better. You can see here, 9/26/15, 9/17 is the day of the shooting. It's 9/26 of the post. The album that he's quoting dropped on September 20th, 2015. So we have somebody from Atlanta quoting a brand new Future album. And the state, A, doesn't recognize that they're lyrics, apparently. And B, presents them as if they're specifically referencing the crime, when they don't even reference any specific crime, just a crime rate generally. And C, they don't mention the fact, either, out of incompetence or obfuscation, that the more relevant date, other than the 9 days after the attempted murder, is the fact that it was the week of the album release. And again, this isn't some obscure Atlanta rapper. It's the most commercially successful Atlanta rapper ever in Atlanta. But okay. So next one. Co-defendant White post made 2 weeks after the attempted murder of Pope, stating that shoot this bitch up in broad day. I probably shouldn't have cursed there, but you know what? I don't care. This song is by also Future. You may be noticing a trend here. I suspect that Mr. Quatez White is a Future fan, as are many Atlanteans? Whatever. Anyway, this is actually from the chorus, so it's from a few different parts of the song.
Oh, they say that boy, he a little hater, baby. Shooting broad day, shooting broad day. Shot the whole window up in broad day. Oh, that's a little hater, baby.
So again, seems to be referencing Future. Not so much, again, a specific reference to these crimes. So again, we have several issues here. First of all, there's shooting up a window in Future song. There's a window shot up in this case. It's the Future lyric is broad day, shooting something up in broad day, when the facts of this case are that the shooting occurred at 10:41, approximately 10:41 p.m. on September. I know Fulton County District Attorney's Office investigators have trouble telling when it gets dark. They had that trouble in YSL as well. But broad day is not so much 10:41 p.m. And also on top of that, they don't mention in this brief that these are lyrics. What do we have here? Co-defendant White post made 2 weeks after the attempted murder of Pope, stating that a whole clique murder won, but we walk because we're solid. Meaning the co-defendant White's group kills people, but will not be convicted because they stay silent. This is actually kind of funny for a number of reasons. First of all, they're not according to their own theory of the case. The very fact that this is here is proof that they don't stay silent. So it kind of undercuts their whole point. Also, they're not charged with murder. And this was 2 weeks after the attempt, so we would know it's not a murder case. But more generally, this is just song lyrics again, which is probably the more important point. Where'd you go? Give me what I want. There we go. See Boosie balancing, I'm going to guess, I don't know, a couple racks on his head there. You may recognize this beat, which also played in the YSL trial. It's the Lifestyle beat, popularized by Rich Homie Quan and Young Thug. This is Boosie's remix. That's not relevant to anything, but just in case you're curious.
We got whole clip murder ones, but we walk cause we silent, huh? These bitches.
Sorry, I had to play an extra second. I like that beat. Anyway, yeah, again, it's just song lyrics. And no mention that they're lyrics. Instead, they're supposed to be specific references to these crimes. Again, these aren't general, propensity evidence sorts of things. These are supposed to be specific references to the crime, namely the attempted murder of Hassan Pope. Let me see. Okay, this is one more that I want to show. Co-defendant Dominique Carter's Twitter and Instagram username was HatyGangStewie. Also posted gang-related posts to his social media accounts. Here we go. This is maybe my favorite one. Co-defendant Dominique Carter's post one day after the attempted murder of Pope with a photograph of co-defendant Dominique Carter, Mills, and White, stating that most fellas pretend, that's why I don't have friends, just some brothers that's going to ride to the end. And the reason this one might be my favorite, ooh, I didn't show you the screen in the past one, that's okay though, I'll have to take my word for it, is that this is actually a YF and Lucci song. And again, this brief was written in 2023, which I believe was in the midst of when they were litigating the YF and Rico case. So there's really even less of an excuse to not recognize that these are song lyrics. But I'll just go ahead and play you this song.
He told most niggas pretend, and that's why I don't have friends. Just some brothers who gon' ride to the end. 4-5 on my side to the end. Nigga, we don't have.
So again, these are he's just quoting lyrics of another Atlanta rapper. So again, here you see, we're just talking, these are just straight lyrics from a YF and Lucci song. Again, this was during the pendency of the YF and Rico case, so the prosecutors really had no excuse not to recognize that these are the words of Rayshawn Bennett, aka YF and Lucci. And in addition to the fact that these are just being used as evidence directly, I think that one of the concerns with lyric evidence, even when the lyrics are disclosed to be lyrics, is that it can kind of cause the jury, although fortunately in this case not the Court of Appeals, to maybe look past some flaws in the state's evidence, particularly with respect to evidence that seems quite strong. In this case, we have Detective Tyrone Dennis testifying that he saw Mills in a gold Suburban earlier that same day before the shooting, when he went to Mills's house to serve a subpoena in a different case. That same gold Suburban, as identified by the tag number, which was recorded at the time the subpoena was served, was located at a rental car company after the shooting. Been rented 3 days prior to the shooting and returned the day after the shooting by a woman whose driver's license listed Mills's home address as her address. Crime scene investigators processed the gold Suburban and found gunshot residue on the windowsill. That seems really bad, right? You have gunshot residue found in a gold Suburban linked purportedly to Darren Mills. Again, that's much stronger than lyric evidence. Problem, well, my benefit is that the GBI, Georgia Bureau Investigation Report, requested by Tyrone Dennis, APD, the gunshot residue requested service, on September 24th, 2015, about a week after the shooting, the GBI lab, received the following evidence from the APD via lockbox. Sample 003, sealed GSR collection kit identified as containing samples from the rear window seals of a Chevy Suburban. Sealed number 4004, sealed GSR collection kit identified as containing samples from the front window seals of a Chevy Suburban. So, the rear window seals and front window seals of the Suburban, items 3 and 4. Conclusions. Examinations of items 3 and 4 failed to reveal particles characteristics of gunshot primer residue, GSR. The absence of GSR on an object is consistent with the following. The object was not in close proximity to a firearm. Yeah. So it was actually a negative test. This sentence is also wrong, but that's a whole different video. So, in any event, the point I'm trying to make is that lyric evidence, whether it's disclosed that such evidence is in fact lyrics, or merely statements of a defendant or of a co-defendant can play a very damaging and deceptive part in a state's prosecution. And if you ever find yourself on a jury, I would caution you to be very skeptical of such lyric evidence. And again, if somebody says, I shot Jim with a 9mm at 3:47 at the 7-Eleven on the corner of Cleveland Avenue and Main Street, and all that stuff happened, hey, maybe you got something there. But if you scroll through somebody's social media, or if it's in the case of an artist's entire catalog, you'll be able to find something incriminating. It's not particularly difficult to do so. And that is the real danger. So, thank you for watching, and I hope you have a good day.